Thanks for listening. This is the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast, where each week we will talk about a free piece or two of technology that you can use in your classroom. I'm your host, Shanna Martin. I'm a middle school teacher, technology coach, and personalized learning coordinator for my district. And I'm joined by my producer/husband, Fuzz Martin.
Hi, everybody.
Today we're going to talk about Emaze and Genially.
Genially. It's Genially. But it's just fun to say Geely, like a Ben Affleck movie.
Ooh. Fancy.
All right. So, second episode of the podcast. We've made it past like 90%. If we're going on the bell curve here, we're doing okay with the podcast rolling.
Day 2, yes.
Okay, it's day 2.
Day 2.
Let's talk a little bit about Emaze. But first, I want to let you all know that we have a website. It's smartinwi.com. And it's a play off of Shanna Martin, Wisconsin, and email addresses that she's used at various different schools as she's worked in her career. But
and it also is my Twitter handle. So
and also your Twitter handle.
That
yes.
works out well for everything.
smartinwi.com, our email address, where you can find links to all the different technologies that we talk about. And also, as we go on, we'll start to provide more information, different tips, tricks, images.
And those that have tried out the podcast with the website found it useful because you can actually listen to the podcast and try out the websites as you are working in your classroom. So that could be helpful too.
Totally. And listen on your commute. You can do it via, hopefully by the time you listen to this, via iTunes, the Google App Store, whatever it's called, Google Play, Stitcher. I've submitted it to Spotify. This is all big time
really
stuff.
Fancy.
I know.
Episode 2.
Here
we are.
The deuce. All right, so let's talk about Emaze and what Emaze is.
All right, so Emaze. Today we're focusing on presentations, student projects, and presenting digitally in different formats. Emaze is a winner in my classroom. It has high student engagement, and it is easy for students to use when they're presenting information. My kids use Google Slides often, or like traditional slideshows, but with Emaze, they are a little more exciting to put together.
Okay.
The backgrounds are more fun, and they're interactive, and the kids have a lot of buy-in when they're working with them, and they're easy to use. So when you go to the Emaze website, you sign in with Google so the kids can use their regular Google accounts. And then you go to Create New. And when you're on the website and you click Create New, you have a lot of options. So in Emaze, you can do more than just presentations, but we're going to focus on the presentation part of it today.
Okay.
You click Presentation. And then from there, there's lots and lots of templates. And you'll notice that they're organized by like business, education, art, but that's just kind of the themes of the backgrounds. The kids can pick any ones that they want to. The one thing to look out for is in the bottom left-hand corner of some of the templates, you'll see like a little diamond, and those you have to pay for. So They are not the free ones. But they have enough choices of free versions that we've never really run into having to pay for anything.
By the way, on this show, our goal is to provide you as educators with as many of these tools free as possible. So like get you the which of these tools can you use in your classroom, get your students to use without having to get authorization or get somebody to pay for it.
Trying to find funds, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
There are paid versions of all of these as well. It's kind of like that gets you in the door, and then if you really love it, you might want to pay for it, but most of the stuff is free.
Some of them have an educator version that is the full version that's free that we'll find when we get to some of these different products throughout the show as we talk. Some of them have if you sign up as an educator, they have more features free, and even in some of them that we're talking about today, they have more features that are free if you're signed up as an educator than if you were to sign up from like a business side or a professional side. But our goal with this show is to be able to give you some of these tools that you can use in your classrooms without having to pay for them.
Yes.
Word.
Woohoo. We like free. So in Emaze, once you've chosen your template, you will see that there's all types of them. Probably the go-to that I start by showing any group of teachers or students is if you go into business and you click on the Wall Street preview. That's kind of like the buy-in for everybody. It says the city, and it's just a generic, I think Wikipedia is describing what's on the slides here, but as you click on the right arrow to zoom, it flies you through a city. So the students would drop in their information, and then basically it feels like you're a superhero going through like Gotham or something.
Sweet.
So again, high student engagement, and this is just the background of their presentation. It's not even the work that they can put into it. There's a lot of there's a cool traveling one that you can click on, like a geography lesson where they actually are driving down a road and it looks like a map. And so there's like fun backgrounds of different places around the world. You can choose that. If you keep scrolling down, and again, these are all just in the templates, and under education, if you click on like the exploring the ocean under the sea one, not only does it have the ocean as the background, and you may or may not be able to hear it.
It's got a narwhal.
It has a turtle, but it has ocean sounds as the background noise.
Nice.
So the kids can really feel like they're in the ocean when they're presenting in class.
Do they ask for bathroom passes?
I was going to say, or it may make everyone have to go to the bathroom. But they're just very cool. So they're highly engaging. Once you pick a template, choose whatever one you want. The gallery one is like walking through an art gallery. So you pick your template, and then you go ahead and just click edit from there. And once you've gone into edit mode, it's set up kind of like Google Slides or any other slideshow you're familiar with. The students can change text. They can add their own images. They can add their shapes. They can add all the information that they want to. There's an option on the left-hand side of different slide backgrounds that go within the presentation, so you have choices there. And so it's just set up like a regular presentation then, except for it's just more engaging and exciting when you're presenting. Mm-hmm. There is, again, all of the usual choices and lots of extra details. If you look into the top, there's a scroll bar you can go through with all different information.
Let me ask real quick. So with Emaze, when you sign up for the free version, beside the templates that some of them are premium, what are some of the other features that that you get on the free version? So,
I guess free version versus the paid version.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is the free version, your presentations are public.
Okay.
And if you want to have them saved and password protected, then you have to pay for it.
What kind of options does this give you then? Can you download these as a certain file? Or?
So once students have completed their presentation and they're ready to share it, they click save. They can save their image. And then they go to share. And once they save it in the upper right-hand corner, I'm saving it right now. So you click save, and then you go to share. And when you click share, they give you the link that you can share with people.
Okay.
So you have it public. So what I have my students do is they take their shareable link, and then they just drop it into my Google Classroom.
Okay.
And then the kids have access to their presentations if they're going to present in my class. And then also as a teacher, I can see it if I'm going to be assessing my students.
Sure.
Or they
are
could
the
share.
Links unique in terms of how they're set up? Or I mean, is it like, if I were a crafty student, could I figure out what some of my fellow students' links are?
Oh, they're very much like created by the website. So
okay, so it's all random.
Yeah, it's not. It's gonna have numbers, letters, as random information. It's not gonna have like a specific, like any names or anything like that in there.
Yeah.
But then the links. What's kind of cool too is that with these links, you can like share them with your parents or your families as well. So that way, kids are able to share their work home pretty easily, which is nice for them to do. One thing people ask a lot is, can you collaborate where more than one person can work within the presentation? And the answer to that is in the free version, you're not able to like share and have two people working in the same presentation at one time. It's
But
usually
you can
just
certainly
one
share
student.
then the public link and have somebody proof it.
Right, yeah, and have students work together. Or if they're working in groups and they're just sitting next to each other, they can share that way. It's just one where you can't both be editing the same presentation at the same time. But again, like Emaze is one of the go-tos in my classroom just because the kids really like working with it, and it's really highly engaging when it comes to presentations in class and sharing information with the other. They get pretty excited about that.
Most people will probably know this, and as you said, highly engaging. But what's the advantage of Emaze? And think about this, I guess, coming up for the Genially portion as well. What's the advantage of this over Google presentations?
When it comes to, I mean, they both have positive things that we use them for. Like I use them, they're just different tools in the toolbox. When it comes to Emaze though, standing up in front of the classroom and presenting is usually pretty daunting for middle schoolers and any student. So I've seen
professional 40-year-old advertising executives.
Yes. So I've seen with students that Emaze, like they get up there and it looks super cool when the background is flying around and you're like clicking a button and your presentation's going through. It just seems to be more of a confidence booster with students because they feel like they've put something together that's really engaging just and if they spent lots and lots of time in Google Slides, they could do the same thing, but it would take a lot longer versus an Emaze. They can put together a presentation, they can go up there and it looks like a little mini like movie type deal that they've put together. So it's just, I think sometimes it's a confidence booster in the classroom because they feel like, wow, look what I just did, kind of a thing.
Absolutely.
So
what's are we good with Emaze?
I think we've covered. I mean, it's wonderful and it's super fun. And the best thing I can say with Emaze is log in and play around with it.
Yeah.
Because I've had plenty of staff be like, I don't really know, and then anyone who jumps into it and starts zooming around and trying out the templates gets pretty excited about it. So it's one of those you just kind of play around with.
The URL for that is emaze.com. If you're on smartandwi.com, you'll see the link in the post for this episode. But if you're listening on any of the podcast platforms, it's emaze.com. So let's chat about Genially, which has an interesting URL, which is genial.ly. So GENIAL.ly.
Right.
Genial.
Lee. Yeah. So you have to think like put a dot between the two L's.
Yeah.
Is the best way to.
Genial, and then you make it an adverb.
Right. Lee. Ta-dee. So if we're focusing on like student presentations and projects and just sharing out their information, which kind of is our little theme of this week in episode 2. Genially, if you go into the website and you log in with Google, it's got the usual like login, which is great for students because they don't have to remember extra passwords. They can just click the red button and it will
single sign on, baby.
It will make everyone's life easier. Anyway, it says create Genially, and you get this page that has, I think, 20 options on it, 16, 17. It's got a lot of options. Today, we're just going to talk about 2.
Okay.
Genially has a lot to offer and for a lot of different things. So, I mean, you're welcome to play around with Genially when you get into the website. But we're going to focus on 2 that I have found for like presenting student projects that have really kind of been exciting in my classroom for my students, and I've shared with some other staff. The first one is interactive image. So if you click on that, the interactive image, if anyone is familiar with ThingLink, it used to be, ThingLink was kind of the go-to for an interactive image type of project. And they have changed how you can log in, and you have to pay for things now, and it's more difficult to sign in.
They're on to us.
Yeah. So Genially has the same thing that ThingLink used to, except for it's all right here.
Okay.
Magically, and it's free.
So this is a ThingLink alternative.
Correct. Yes.
It's a thing, THING link.
Yeah, like all one word though.
Yeah,
Thing
okay,
link. Yeah. So it's called officially this type of presentation and style. It's called an interactive image.
Yeah.
So you take one picture of usually a theme of what you're talking about in class, or whatever the student's project is on. I just had a student do a whole thing on Camp Randall.
Okay.
And so her interactive image was all based on Camp Randall and the history of Camp Randall. So you pick your image, and once you have done that, you are able to drop these little like pin dots or like stars or whatever you want your choice to be, and you drop them into your image, and then you're able to link information. So you're typing in your information in that you want to share with the rest of the class, and then all these little bubbles and links within the picture become your information for the class.
Sure.
Kind of like an interactive poster if you're teaching other people in class or you're presenting some information. So you click on the left-hand side of your interactive image, you have all the different choices for buttons. So
Okay.
kids can pick little arrow buttons, and they can pick dots, and they can pick sounds, and they can pick markers and little hearts, and they can put all these things in there. And then each one of those can link to resources. There's images. They can link it to different media, so they can link their interactive link to a picture or a another link to a website or a video that they want to show. Anyway, so it makes the whole image that they like picture
Gives
they
them
upload.
hotspots, kind of.
Yeah. And then they have all these different things. So if they need talking points while they're talking to class, they like click on the different links, and it shows different videos and sets of information.
Sure.
So it's a way of just like it'd basically be like a giant poster.
Yeah.
That then comes to life when
So,
students
like,
are
let's say
presenting.
they had a picture of a power plant, and they were giving all the different pieces of a power plant. They could click on each of the different elements, and it would bring up their notes on what the information is, or a link to a video or something
Correct.
of that nature. Yeah.
Yeah. So it makes the whole like poster idea not just a piece of paper anymore.
People pay us thousands of dollars to do that for what I do for a living. So,
Right.
so there's
Look,
a free website.
There's a
that
free
works with
website.
that.
I don't know why people are paying you money for what you do.
Cool.
So there's that. The other thing in Genially that I want to share is the games. If you go back to like the original like homepage for Genially, and you click on game, you get all these cool little game options that come up for students to present information or share information. What I like about Genially too is that there's this nifty little portion in the upper right hand corner where it says premium or free. And you can just click the free button, and it gets rid of all of the premium stuff. So that way
cool.
kids don't click on the paid one,
stuff, yeah.
set the whole thing up, and then they're not able to use it because they aren't paying for it.
Yeah.
So it's fantastic that they do this, because I've had students be like, oh, I want this one, and there's a star on it, so it's premium. So we just
Do you have to tell them then in class, like, when you're using this, if it has a star, you can't use it? Is that kind of how the class flow goes?
I do let them know. Hopefully they're listening.
What?
And that's why we have them remind everyone to click the free button to sort out the premium ones.
Yeah.
I have had students go through like whole projects before, not in this website, but in another
Sure.
one, and did all the paid stuff, and then they were
found
sad.
out. Yeah.
So it's always good, just like if there's an option to sort the free,
Sure.
sort into the free. And so here then they have a whole bunch of different choices. There's games like Find the Character, where students put in like an image, and then there's little question bubbles around it, and they're able to ask all the clues, and then you click the solution, and then the card flips over and it gives the solution.
Sure.
We were talking about the ways a bill becomes a law in my class.
Yeah.
And they were giving the clues to each step of what happens when a bill becomes a law. And so they made little quiz questions, and they quizzed each other on learning that, and they did the flip cards. There's a before and after. There's a sequence maze. There's a thing, one of the games is set up for mathematical operations, which is nice, because I know
Cool.
math teachers sometimes have a harder time finding resources.
Yeah.
And so it's a great way to do some just practical application with math. in a game, and the kids can design it all and put it together and quiz each other. There's like a Guess Who game, and there's a science game that's based on, it's set up in like body parts and bones and muscles, where they give you like the body, and then you can go through and name and find the answers, the questions and the solutions. So it's just nice that Genially gives you options that are for other subject areas too, and it is very teacher friendly, which is nice. Teacher and student friendly, I should say.
Yeah, great. That's excellent. And again, that's at genial.ly, GENIAL.LY. And we've got the link on our website at smartinwi.com. So, I mean, we just touched on 2 little pieces of Genially today, and actually only a couple little pieces of Emaze as well. These are like super robust programs, even on the free version side, where you can do a lot in your classroom, and you have a lot of options for helping students create really interactive presentations that will help them when they're standing in front of a classroom look more professional, have a little bit more fun, make it more engaging for the other students in the class who are watching, and make it more fun, especially for the student who's designing it.
And more engaged when they are designing as well, just because they're able to put in different parts and have more options than they usually do.
Yeah, it's so I think it's a lot easier to come up with, or a lot more engaging when you're coming up with trying to find content as a student, when like, I could put something cool here,
right,
and go and find something that would fit into that space and make them think about it and learn something, which is what this is really all about, right?
Right. And the goal, and from here too, they can learn. It's nice to learn how to use other websites too, to teach them some flexibility when it comes to their options and presentations and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we hope you learned something today on the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast, and I mean you listening.
And learning things, and try things out. Try it out, and try out all of the other links, and within Emaze and Genially, try out those other things too, just because they're fun to play around with.
We've got a contact form now up at smartinwi.com. So if you have any questions about this episode, please click contact and send Shannon an email, and she can help you out if you have any issues that you're working around. And then if you have any ideas for the show, if you have any feedback, constructive or positive,
or questions, like if there's tools that you have a topic you're trying to figure out a tool for, we can find tools for you. I have a large toolbox of tools that we're sharing.
Yeah, so definitely. We've got an ongoing list in our Trello board that we're working through here, and it was a fun episode. It's really cool stuff.
So thanks everyone for tuning in. This has been the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast. If you have any questions, find me on Twitter at smartinwi. And if you'd like to get more information on the links and the technology discussed in this episode, you can visit smartinwi.com. There will be new episodes each week. Thanks for listening, and go educate and innovate.
The ideas and opinions expressed in this podcast and the Smart NWI website are those of the author, Shanna Martin, and not of her employer. Prior to using any of the technologies discussed in this podcast, please consult with your employer regulations. This podcast offers no guarantee that these tools will work for you as described, but we sure hope they do. See you next week.